This evening I went and saw Pacific Rim Uprising. I loved the first Pacific Rim film just because it was a crazy action film with giant mechs and kaiju, and it was generally fun and surprisingly good. Certainly better than I had expected it to be. I went into this one with high hopes but low expectations because I had heard some not so good things. But I did find the film enjoyable. It's got some problems. Mainly, it's got some character development issues in that they don't. So there is a big plot conflict that is very central to the story. And there are all of these characters sort of revolving around. And at the end, they have this moment where supposedly they changed. My problem is that nothing happened in the middle. So it was like, hi, I'm this person. Action, action, action. Hi, I'm now this person. I've changed. Wow. But like, really, did they? Or did the plot action just happen and then you were like, oh yeah, characters are important. Let's add that in. I did enjoy the characters. I like John Boyega's character. I mean, I like John Boyega, so that's like this much of it. But I did enjoy his character. I thought that it was an interesting character. I also thought that he had the opportunity for growth. He had a lot of plot points that intersected with him and the potential for development. And there was a little bit of that. When his sister dies, he takes responsibility. When the giant kaiju show up, again, he is like, I'm going to be a leader. I'm going to be like my father was, but not quite like my dad because, I mean, I'm not that cool. But it never really was internalized, if that makes sense. Then there was this young girl who built her own Jaeger, and she built a tiny one that was called Scrapper, which was great. The whole first sequence where they meet up and they're both criminals who are stealing parts from old decommissioned Jaegers, and they meet up and she pilots Scrapper and it's wonderful. And then she has the opportunity to join the actual military Jaeger program. Doesn't do as well there. And I did like that. I liked that her like prodigy nature was sort of shut down. So she was really good at this Jaeger that she built and piloted alone, but she was terrible at connecting with someone else and drifting with them and piloting a Jaeger, and had to sort of work her way through that to get to the point that she actually could. But the problem was that we went from a scene where she clearly couldn't do it to her piloting one in the final battle. And I don't know how she crossed that bridge because it didn't happen on screen where I could see it. The villain was interesting. So it was a gentleman who is from the first film. There were a few crossover characters, and he had merged with the mind of a kaiju to sort of see where they'd come from and discovered that the precursors, which are like this alien race that sent the kaiju over to destroy the world and terraform it so that they could move in, had connected with him, and somehow he'd never given up that connection, and so they'd melded together and they were using him to create these kaiju Jaegers, like basically a Jaeger piloted by kaiju flesh, engineered kaiju flesh, that was attacking and going to open breaches to destroy the world and finish what they'd started in the last film. And it was an interesting idea, kind of cool to have a human element, but I didn't feel like it was necessarily built very well from an internal standpoint. There were like a couple of little reveals and then the big reveal, but I didn't really see why. It never got explained why he had continued after that first moment to like hang out with the precursors, or if they had immediately gotten into his brain the first time that they decided to bridge with the kaiju brain. I don't know, but his partner in the air didn't have that problem, even though they both bridged with the kaiju brain, so I'm not really sure what happened there, and I felt like that was a little bit stalled and unexplained. But they did leave it open for a third movie, which will maybe explain everything. She says hopefully, but doubtfully. because it ends the film with John Boyega being like, listen, you tell those precursors that they don't have to worry about coming here next because we're coming to them. Oh, throwdown. Yeah, so get ready for Pacific Rim 3, The Invasion. I don't know, I just figured maybe that would be a good title. If it ever comes to fruition, I guess we'll find out if I was right. Overall, I'm gonna give this movie 2.5 stars. Yeah, not very strong. It's fun if you like giant mechs and kaiju and battles where no one seems to care that they're destroying an entire city. It still is visually stunning as the first one, and it is kind of fun to watch them run around and destroy things. Like, if this was a 60-minute TV show for Power Rangers aged kids, it would be perfect. It just doesn't have quite enough development for it to have been 2 hours and me to have sat there. So it's up to you if you want to see it, but I will see you tomorrow.